Hello, hi, and welcome. I'm Haley. I will be your host today. This is going to be a paranormal and true crime channel. If those are things that you enjoy to listen to, thank you for clicking on my video, and I hope that you stay for videos to come. Without further ado, let's get into it. So today, we will be talking about Ouija boards. This is, kind of a controversial topic when it comes to the paranormal. A lot of people say it's not true. A lot of stories that I've read, say that it is. So we will start today with, what the science and skeptics say about it. And then we will dive into some Reddit stories that people have put out there, and I'll leave it up to you guys. All right, so according to some of the scientists today, they say that the Ouija board is based on our body language and how we predict what the word is going to say before we see it on the Ouija board, right? So a lot of them say that say the name is Peter, right? And it starts with the P and then the E. Everybody's going to start to assume that the name is Peter, and just subconsciously, I guess. It's not something that you really recognize is going to happen, but everybody just kind of subconsciously thinks it. So then the word will eventually spell out Peter, and that is basically what the skeptics and science says is how, our brain connects what we see on the Ouija board and how it moves, right? So that it doesn't always, connect to somebody, but maybe Peter has a significance to someone in the group, and that's what kind of takes over. So that's, I guess that's kind of how people view the Ouija board. But on another level, a lot of people deal with Ouija boards as kids, right? It's kind of like the sleepover game to do. So, I mean, as a kid, I touched some Ouija boards in my day, and it's kind of like this fun thing that you shouldn't do, but everybody's like, oh my gosh, it's so scary. And, some people just move on with their life and it doesn't affect them. But for other people, it goes on to haunt them, for years to come. And as an avid paranormal podcast listener, I know that there are some stories out there where they touch a Ouija board at 13 and then they're haunted for the rest of their lives. And you never really know who you're talking to when it comes to the Ouija board. And I think that that's where people misunderstand that you could be talking to something harmless, like your dead friend, or maybe a dead aunt or a dead grandfather, right? But in reality, you never really know who you're talking to, and it could just be playing with your mind when it's really something a lot more sinister. So I think that when anybody deals with a Ouija board, you should really be careful and cautious about really opening yourself up to the situation that could arise, right? So you never really know what you're talking to. You never really know what's out there. So I would just advise you, be careful, be cautious if this is something that you choose to do. And without further ado, let's get into some stories. So it looks like some of my clips have deleted themselves. Not sure how that happened or where it came from, but no worries, we will proceed. So this first story is from Throw It Amita, and she says, this one was scary to me. My mom and aunt used the Ouija board after their dad died. He had remarried, but had told his daughters that he was leaving them a few things in his will, including some money. His second wife was the executor and was saying he hadn't left them money, etc., etc. Sorry, I can't remember exactly what she said, apparently. Anyway, Mom and her sister thought it was possible that the money wasn't left to them after all, like the second wife had said. But my aunt was really strapped for cash, and they felt like it was also possible that the second wife was withholding info and money. They apparently managed to get their dad via the Ouija board and asked him whether he had left them money in his will. It spelled out a 3-letter acronym for a bank and then a series of numbers. Turns out that he did have a bank account with money in it intended for his daughters. The account matched the bank acronym and account number. This one spooked me because the details were a surprise to my mom and aunt. I don't know how they could have gotten that info out of thin air. Now this one is a little crazy, right? Because this is kind of one that, you know, you can't fake that because someone can't just pull an account out of thin air. Obviously, skeptics would say, unless, however, one of them maybe did know or heard about it being talked about, you know, when they were a kid, and just subconsciously that's something that came back to their brain that they didn't realize. But anyways, up to you to decide. Let's get on to this next story. All right, let's get into this next story. This one is from Deleted. The first and only time I ever used one, I was a teenager playing on it with a friend on my back porch. I didn't know of anyone who had died, really, except I remembered from an old photo on the wall that I had a great aunt, Neil. The name Neil stuck with me because it was a boy's name. So I tried to talk to great aunt Neil, but when I spoke, I said, without hesitation or any control, Aunt Connie. I thought, that's weird. I don't have an Aunt Connie. I tried again and said, I'm trying to speak with, and mentally saying the word Neil, Aunt Connie. It was an involuntary response, very weird, but we moved on and kept playing. When my mom got home from running errands, she asked how our game was going, and I replied, it's fine, except I kept trying to talk to great aunt Neil, but kept saying Connie, which was so weird, because I don't have an Aunt Connie. I still remember my mom's face in that moment. Turns out, I did have an Aunt Connie. She was a baby who died of SIDS decades before I was born. My mom almost named me after her. I went on to have extreme paranormal experiences that continue to this day, actually. I think it opened a door that I haven't been able to close. Edit. The scariest things that I have ever had happen to me were from when I was a moody 15 to 18-year-old girl that seemed to really energize my surroundings, and lots of scary things happened. I saw people, heard my name whispered in my ear at night multiple times, heard footsteps daily, and heard a voice mimic my father's and walk around the kitchen. That one convinced me that we were broken into, and I stayed outside until my boyfriend came to get me. Of course, nobody was there. My brother moved back into the family house after college and confirmed he also heard a voice mimic our father's and walk around the kitchen. He didn't offer this info. I had to pull it out of him over dinner years later. We independently experienced this and didn't know. In college, I saw a girl standing over my roommate's bed in the middle of the night. I woke up the next day and was like, hey, who was that? Roomie was like, oh, hell no. Same. She and I still talk about it to this day. We were on the sorority hall at the time, so I dismissed it initially. It only hit me later that I didn't recognize her or see her legs. The other weirdest thing in college was someone kept getting into bed next to me. Never touched me, but the mattress went down with their weight. That one spooked me. This is particularly scary to me because not realizing what you're seeing until later on is terrifying. Knowing that there's no one else there and then feeling someone get into the bed with you, oh my gosh, I would have a heart attack and die. If I knew my boyfriend was going to be out for the night and I felt someone get into bed, oh, I would not be staying here, that's for sure. Anyways, that is all I have for you guys today. So if you have any stories or you want to hear something particularly that interests you, please leave a comment below. Message me, feel free. They are always open. And yeah, I hope you have a very spooky day. I'll see you guys.